Good morning, St. Kitts and Nevis, and welcome to another edition of Voices here on 98.9 Win FM. Good morning to all of our beautiful listeners. We have here in our studios this morning Dr. Marissa Grant Tate. She is an oncologist and she works with the St. Kitts and Nevis Ministry of Health. I think she also works with the St. Kitts Health Promotion Unit and some work there. and they are embarking upon a project in commemoration of Breast Cancer Awareness Month being celebrated throughout the month of October. So Dr. Grant Tate is here to provide some insight and to educate the listeners about the campaign and other aspects of oncology, breast cancer, and related topics. So, welcome, Dr. Grant Tate.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
Awesome. And how are you this morning? How are
Not at
you?
all. Thank you. Not bad.
Awesome. So, as I would have said before, this discussion would be about breast cancer. It would be about the campaign and what the health promotion unit, the ministry, the St. Kitts and Nevis, I think is the Breast Cancer Society.
Uh, well,
The Cancer
at the
Society.
St. Kitts Cancer Society.
Yes,
The
the
St. Kitts Cancer Society.
yes.
Right.
So just for you to give an insight as to what you guys will be doing.
Right.
Go ahead.
So what it is, in fact, is a collaboration between the Ministry of Health of St. Kitts and Nevis, as well as WellPoint Medical and Oncology, along with the St. Kitts Nevis Cancer Society. And the effort, or rather the goal, is geared towards mobilizing what is the necessary level of education in terms of women losing the fear in respect to knowing of the probability, the diagnostic measures, and all of the different aspects that are available to them to be able to overcome the fears in terms of ultimately succumbing to cancer.
hmm And what are the specifics of the campaign that you guys will be carrying out?
Well, this particular aspect, which the Health Promotion Unit is spearheading, and I thank them again too on the care specifically of Dr. Marissa Carty as well as Miss Vera Edwards France, and what they have organized, in terms of what we together have been able to come up with for this part of it, is what we have coined as Meet the Girls. And Meet the Girls is simply a way of saying, let us get familiar, with our bodies. There's a whole aspect of it when it comes to femininity on a whole. For some strange reason, women are still somewhat discouraged, I suppose, in terms of, speaking of certain aspects of life. And in doing so, they neglect certain aspects of health. And what we want to do is to sensitize the general public in terms of care and health care in respect to the breast. And breast cancer, obviously, being the number one cancer for females within St. Kitts and Nevis, this is obviously one of the best places that we can make an impact.
hmm Okay, but my question for you, Dr. Grant Tate, what is the
Meet the Girls.
Meet the Girls?
Right. So Meet the Girls. What we will be doing is going to specific businesses, although the businesses, they are required to make the necessary arrangement through the St. Kitts Nevis promotion unit. And so then once that would have been done in terms of getting into contact with the health promotion unit, then we would dispatch, the necessary experts to be able to come and do the breast examinations for your staff. And the examinations, they are free. And at the same time, too, to be able to speak to the individuals in respect of, their individual risk in respect to breast cancer. And definitely to emphasize on self-examination of the breast monthly, which is a very, very important part in terms of early detection. Unfortunately, when it comes to breast cancer, there is no specific pre-factor that you can deem as, definitive in respect to a breast cancer diagnosis. So it's not one of those cancers that you can do a test for example, and, end up saying, well, if we don't do this, then we won't get breast cancer. And even though there are a number of risk factors too, having the risk factors do not necessarily mean that you will definitely get breast cancer. They are just in the sense of for guidance, as well as too, we have protective factors. So the long and short of it is to basically just to encourage individuals in terms of knowing what their risks are, and to be able to familiarize themselves with their breasts by means of the breast examinations that should be monthly, so that we can work on ensuring that if for whatever reason there should be a breast cancer diagnosis, it is early, which can then lead to better treatment and a better outcome.
Awesome. And, I believe that this is a fantastic initiative, because breast cancer is the leading cancer death in women across the Caribbean, and I dare say across the world.
Correct.
So many persons suffering from breast cancer. And so I think this initiative is quite timely and very, very important. Has something like this been done before?
Well, I know that there are a number of campaigns, and I know that over the years, I am aware that quite a few, I think physicians on a whole, have embarked on certain campaigns to be able to encourage the breast examinations. And then, of course, too, we also have, other foundations that over the years advocate towards what would be prevention. Well, prevention is a bit of an issue specifically for breast cancer, but nonetheless, in terms of the necessary advocacy, and they advocate quite a bit as well in terms of the mammograms and the screenings and so forth. So I would say that, the overall in terms of early detection is definitely nothing new, but this is the first year that we would be actually putting together the Meet the Girls campaign.
Awesome. Well, my question is, how has the response been? Because I know some women, even though, because you did mention that it's a free breast examination,
Correct,
right?
correct.
So you may have an increase in participation from women, coming to get themselves checked. But there are some women that may feel that, they don't really want to be a part of this thing where people are examining their
Right,
breasts. And
right.
that is fine, because it's natural. But how has the response been thus far to this campaign?
To be quite honest, the response has been, it's been overwhelming. We have received, quite a number of calls. Quite a few individuals have reached out as well personally, with me personally as well. And again, I've been in contact with the ministry, and I know that they have been getting quite a few calls. We also encourage too that, the businesses in Nevis, that they also participate, bearing in mind that this is a federal effort.
Yeah, I was just about
Right,
to.
and so we're not ignoring Nevis. So the response on a whole, it has been amazing. To be quite honest, too, I think one of the things is that at least during the month of October, women on a whole, they tend to give, and perhaps people on a whole, they tend to give a bit more attention in respect to health and cancer and so forth. So I would say that even if there is some other sort of reservation ordinarily, I think that people, for the better part of it, would make a greater effort to make use of the advantage. Even the men, in fact, have, been reaching out and so forth. I've had some who have complained of the names, in terms of, why is it Meet the Girls? What about Meet the Guys? But, the truth of the matter is that when we look at the cancer statistics, in terms of breast cancer, and specifically in 2018, for example, which is perhaps, one of the more outstanding and notably known statistics, where in 2018 alone, then there would have been over 2 million new cases worldwide of breast cancer, well over 2 million. And within that same year of 2018, then there were 6.2 million deaths, by breast cancer. So in terms of new cases, but then when we look at, the overall death toll on a whole, and And I guess what we want to try and make sure we don't want for people to continue with the fear that is associated with cancer on a whole and a cancer diagnosis, because at the end of the day, the most important information that you can have is the fact that once it is detected early and once it is that it is treated correctly, then you will have what is a much greater probability and possibility of overall survivorship and getting past the illness. So that is very important.
Awesome. So you spoke about having Nevis participating in this initiative. What are some of the other activities that the Health Promotion Unit will be carrying out to commemorate this activity?
Well, the Meet the Girls is literally just one small aspect in terms of, the numerous activities that the Health Promotion Unit have ongoing. I know currently, too, we are also, and I say we, in terms of what they have included me on, what I've been privileged to be included on, a campaign as well in respect to, capacitation of more staff in respect to pap smears and so forth for the detection of cervical cancer and so forth. Specifically, though, in respect to the Meet the Girls, there are still some ideas that are being thrown around, but to be quite fair, I think that the greatest impact that we would actually be able to make is, in fact, what we are doing in terms of actually going out, and gaining access to women who, for other reasons, would not have taken advantage of going to see a doctor to get their breast examined. So I think that, this is perhaps the most significant form of doing what we need to do.
Awesome. So, Dr. Granted, earlier you spoke of the statistics in regards to deaths from breast cancer globally. Would you be able to provide an insight as to deaths in St. Kitts and Nevis across the Caribbean region?
In terms of the actual number itself, well, not for the region, definitely. And to be quite fair, I do in fact have the statistics for St. Kitts Nevis, but I don't remember as per what year, and so I would prefer to reserve, my response on that. But what I can say is, in terms of the frequency, then it is in fact the most frequent occurring, and it is also to the most frequent associated cancer death, or death related to cancer within the Federation.
Mm-hmm. Right. And what is the age range? Do you have women between 20 and 30, 30 and 50?
Right. So breast cancer on a whole is typically an illness that you find. And yes, I know people don't like the word illness, but, it is in fact, an illness, a disease that we are prone to more so as it results to, the older age. And so then what you find is that typically the average age is between 45 and 50, although you have other patients as well, other individuals who will find themselves, with breast cancer towards the later ages, usually about postmenopausal, between 55 and as much as 65. And then too, you have younger patients, but only about 3% actually of patients with breast cancer would be diagnosed before the age of 30. So in other words, then, yes, it is possible, but breast cancer is not the most frequent occurring at that particular age. So it's usually something that you find typically from about the 40s, and the highest prevalence between 45 and 50.
Mm-hmm. And I guess it's a question that everybody wants to or would like a response to. How does one get breast cancer?
Well, to be fair, I guess maybe the day we actually are able to come to that, in terms of concluding what exactly causes breast cancer, then that would definitely be the day that we would be able to prevent breast cancer on a whole. So unfortunately, no one can actually say what ultimately causes breast cancer. What we do have, though, are the factors that put us at greatest risk, and so then those are the things that we pay attention to. For example, if a woman who would have been diagnosed with breast cancer before, then she has, in fact, a higher risk of getting breast cancer. So having had breast cancer, this automatically, and this is perhaps, one of the greatest risk factors for having breast cancer again. If it is that you have a family member, be it, and more so a first-line family member, so if it is a mother, a sister, a brother, a father even, first-line family member, then that too also increases your risk. One of the things too, and perhaps because I know lots of people, they ask, well, Doc, why is it that we're seeing so much cancer on a whole, and why is it that we have so much more breast cancer cases coming up, and so forth and so forth? And I have to point out that the age at which too we decide to have our children, that too also plays quite a role in terms of risk factor for breast cancer, and specifically women who have their first child after the age of 30, from 30 and above, then they increase the risk of breast cancer by more than 50% of that of the general population. And so then women who have no children at all, then of course too, then they also have, an increased risk. So there are quite a few, in terms of risk factors, but one of the main things that I would definitely have to point out is the age at which we are having our children. And so then what you find is that, and that might sound odd, but it really just comes down to how the hormones work. And, it's more scientific, and I wouldn't bore your audience with it. But at the end of the day, this is perhaps one of the main reasons why we are seeing more and more cases of breast cancer in particular worldwide, because of the fact that women are putting off that first, pregnancy. We are going to university, and we're organizing careers and so forth and so forth, and so then we are ultimately delaying that first pregnancy, and so then this increases the risk to breast cancer once this occurs past the age of 30 years of age. And obesity, this is another very important factor. Lifestyle, because of the fact that ultimately cholesterol is what is used as a precursor by the body to be able to make the sex hormones. And so the estrogen that ultimately drives the breast cancer, is very dependent on, what our overall dietary, what our diets are. And so then, someone who has, be it a fatty diet, or if it is that you splurge quite a bit in terms of, the red meats and, the sweets and whatnot, even though it's not directly fat, all of these are things that ultimately contribute towards obesity. And so then they increase your risk as well.
So, Doctor, interestingly, if you said brothers and men, can men
absolutely
get breast cancer?
Absolutely. Although, to be fair, just to point out that only 1% of men, ultimately end up with breast cancer in terms of the total breast cancer statistics. So it's not 1% of men in the world, but of the statistics, yes. Right, in terms of breast cancer, the only 1% of that accounts to men. To be very clear, one of every 8 women worldwide, would be diagnosed with breast cancer, at some point in their lives. If they have not yet been, then, they will be. So if we count, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and as the lifestyle, aspects that I pointed out earlier, once those two continue, then we can perhaps expect that those statistics will go up. And contrary to that, when it comes to the men now, for every 200 women that are diagnosed with breast cancer, then there's only 1 male. And so then what that means is that overwhelmingly so, yes, breast cancer is in fact an illness of women, but yes, there are instances where men can have breast cancer as well.
Wow. That, I think you have some of the men who are listening. Like, what? Men can get breast cancer?
Absolutely.
Very good information. My other question for you, and I guess it's a question that everybody wants to know, a response. When one is diagnosed with breast cancer, what are the steps to treatment, or how does treatment go on? How would you be able to manage having breast cancer and still, living a normal life.
Well, you'd be amazed, to be quite honest. In the sense of just exactly how many individuals are able to do that, and that is in fact what we are aiming to, so that we can convert cancer from an illness of fear and illness of death, into what would be, an illness of, or rather, just as if any other chronic illness, basically, the same way you treat your blood pressure, your sugar, and so forth and so forth. Sorry, somebody
Yes,
else.
we had a call. Caller, you can call back. They're still on the line. Oh, good morning, caller. You're on Voices. Hello, good morning. Okay, we seem to have lost that call. Caller, you can call back. This is Voices on 1FM 98.9, and we're having a discussion with Dr. Marissa Grant Tate on breast cancer. Oh, okay, caller, good morning. You're on Voices.
Hello?
Good morning, caller. You're on Voices.
Yes, good morning. Is it just breast cancer we're talking about?
Yes, yes.
Well, okay, I have a couple of questions. I'm a male, I don't have breast. But I would like to, I'm sorry, what's the person name, your guest?
Dr. Marissa Grant Tate.
Okay, doctor. I'm a 51-year-old male, and I would like to know if someone has an infection, like a stomach infection, can it, go into like a cancer, like maybe like a colon cancer, and if so, does it affect the brain, and does it affect your sleep pattern at night? There's some other question that I will, they're not coming right now, but if you can indicate to those two that I just posed, I would listen off here for your response. And just again, mention your name for me, please, so that I can take note and probably if I can reach you and have a chat in person.
No problem at all. So it's important to point out, because what happens, and the number one error that we make, is that we hear the word cancer and we tend to bulge everything together. And in fact, and in actuality, the only thing that cancer has, rather the different types of cancer that they have in common, is in terms of the fact that they would have all started out with, a single cell that would have been transformed into a malignant cell, and then from there onwards. But the things that drive them and, favor them and so forth, they're all different. In respect to your question specifically along the lines of the, gastric cancer. Gastric cancer, there are a number of factors that are associated with gastric cancer, principally being, though, the diets that would be very low in fat. And so then this is, something that we need to point out, because very often when we have, we speak of cancer on a whole, then you hear a lot of, low fat diet and so forth. And then people tend to get a bit confused. Well, how is it that this person who would have been, very healthy, exercised a lot, and, here it is that they have a cancer? But different cancers have different factors that favor them. And so in respect to the stomach cancer, as the caller called in just now, the number one factor would be a diet that is low in fat, a diet that is low in red meat. So someone who is vegetarian, for example, someone who eats a lot of fish, for that reason too, then you find that statistic is very high in Asia, and specifically in parts like Japan and so forth, for gastric cancer. But yes, the H. pylori bacteria is also associated with cancer of the stomach. No, it cannot lead to the stomach cancer cannot lead to a cancer of the colon. Although, and to be quite fair too, the factors that favor a stomach cancer, quite the opposite for they alleviate the factors for colon cancer. So what favors one alleviates the other, and so then this is why it's important to emphasize on what is going to be a balanced meal, balanced nutrition, good exercise, and just taking overall good care of yourself.
Thank you so much, doctor, for that insight. I realized when the caller called in, his opening remarks were, "I'm a man and I don't have breasts." Well, we would have said, the doctor would have said before, that men can get breast
Absolutely.
cancer, even though the cases are really low,
Right.
extremely low. Men can get breast cancer. But at this time, we're going to take a short break,
Okay.
and we will be right back to continue this discussion.
WINN is 98.9. 98.9 is Win FM.
Hey kids, drink healthy!
Reduced sugar chubby with the same great taste. Lots of magic fruity flavors, drink the more healthy way.
It tastes so yummy, chubby, chubby.
25% less sugar chubby. Be active, be healthy, drink lots of chubby. Kicking football, playing cricket, having fun in the sun.
It's chubby.
Reduced sugar chubby keeps you cool and refreshed.
It tastes so yummy, chubby, chubby.
25% less sugar chubby. Jumping rope, running races, have fun.
It tastes so yummy, chubby.
Drink the more healthy way!
Good morning, and welcome back to Voices. We have a caller in the air. Good morning, caller. You're on Voices.
Yes, it's me again. I did ask if the doctor can give me her name and probably a phone number so I can try and reach her. Also, I also did ask if the upset stomach, does it affect the sleep pattern at night, and also if she can explain. I was doing some research, so I came across this word, candida and dyspepsia. If she can elaborate, if she's familiar with those two terms when it comes to cancer, I'll be grateful. But also, let her answer the sleep pattern, and if she can give her name, and so I can try and see if I can have a chat with her in person. Thank you.
Doctor?
All right. So basically, in terms of the dyspepsia, which is what I think that the caller would have made mention of, dyspepsia is really just to say, gastric disturbances. It can manifest itself in the way of stomach upset. You can feel a bit gassy. You can feel a bit not quite nauseated, but just basically what would be gastric disturbances. In terms of when he made reference to candidiasis, that's really just what we'd refer to as thrush, in terms of local and common terms as we refer to it. In terms of sleep pattern, a whole lot of different things can actually affect sleep pattern. So a change in sleep pattern is not necessarily, anything indicative of a cancer, diagnosis. But what I would advise is that, yes, you definitely, get checked. And so then be able to, clarify whatever might be. In terms of my name is Dr. Marissa Grant Tate, and you can call 767-1800 to schedule your appointments.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Doc, for that insight. So, yes, we're having this discussion with Dr. Marissa Grant Tate on breast cancer. However, you can feel free to call in and ask questions related to the topic. Something about breast cancer and something related to cancer on a whole. So your questions are appreciated and your questions are welcomed. But Doctor, it is a privilege to have you here, I must say.
Thank you.
Because I think this is a discussion that we must have and persons that must be educated on this topic, because you indicated some alarming numbers earlier about some of the deaths and cases, whether it's here in the region or worldwide. And so I think women and men, because you did indicate that men too could get breast cancer. So men, you're not out of the whole thing. Men too can get breast cancer, even though the numbers are really low. But I think men and women should really take advantage of this campaign that will be taking place. When is the start of this campaign? Has it already started?
So we've already started.
Okay, good. And it will be
so it's ongoing throughout the month of October.
Okay, so you started when the month started.
Correct.
Okay. We have a caller. Good morning, caller. You're on Voices.
Good morning, Mr. Cornelius. How are you doing?
Good morning. I'm doing fine, and you?
Oh, here giving God thanks for another day, man.
Awesome.
Yeah, about that, when you hear about breast cancer and cancer, I say, well, I'll take blindness. Lord deliver. Now, for the doctor, it is usually recommended that you have chemo, depending on the stage, like chemo, radiation, mastectomy, where you cut off the breast. Well, how do you go about treating the male? Because they have less mass tissue. So is the treatment for breast cancer in males different from that from females? That is the question. All right, then.
Thank you. Thank you, caller.
Beautiful question. So specifically, and as you pointed out, yes, there's less tissue in terms of breasts for the man than what there is for the female. And what happens, in fact, is that what that means is that there is less space for the cancer to actually be able to pass through, because before it becomes able to spread to other parts of the body and so forth. And so then for this reason too, it generally gives what is a poorer prognosis or outcome in terms of men, but not because of the fact that it is biologically different, so just because of the fact that there is less breast tissue and so there's less area for it to pass through. In respect to the treatment specifically, as you said, and correctly so, the treatment for breast cancer is based around the stage of the illness. However, it should always undergo surgery in the sense of for curative purposes. There will be cases where a patient will not be eligible for surgery because of the fact that the tumor would have been, it would have grown too large, it would have spread too far, that sort of thing. And sometimes it might be necessary to begin with what would be between a combination of chemotherapy with radiotherapy and even immunotherapy, hormonal therapy, and so forth, and then perhaps reevaluate the possibility of surgery. So on a whole, though, in terms of male and female, there's no specific difference in terms of the management. It literally just comes back down to the stage of the illness to be able to decide what is applicable.
Awesome. Thank you so much for your response, Doctor. There's a comment here on the Facebook Live. Someone from Facebook said, in America, they have cancer in the breast under the arm. In the breast under the arm. Could you speak to that?
I'm not too sure what they're referring to. In the breast under the arm?
That's what the comment is saying. In the breast under the arm, or maybe under the arm, like right under the section there.
I'm not too sure in terms of the context, but what I can say is that, breast cancer, it starts out as a localized, illness, which is to say specifically within the breast. And then what happens is that it spreads to the regional nodes, which are principally those within the arm. And so then, it becomes what we would refer to as a regional illness. And then from there, then it becomes systemic once it is left untreated. Then it spreads to other parts of the body, be it the bones, be it the lungs, the liver, the brain even. But in terms of the underarm aspect, the only thing that comes to mind in that regard would be in respect to the lymph nodes and having it spread from the breast to the lymph nodes, which is a common practice.
Mm-hmm. We have a caller. Good morning, caller. You're on Voices. Good morning, caller. You're on Voices.
Hello, good morning. Hi, Dr. Marissa Grant-Tate. How are you?
I'm well. Good morning. How are you?
Not too bad. I'm just actually...
Hello, caller.
Hello, are you hearing me?
Yes, I'm hearing you now.
Okay, I said I just clicked into the station and hearing this wonderful, interesting topic. But I am wondering if the doctor had touched on some of the predisposing factors like high estrogen levels, the use of the contraceptive pill, etc. Because I know scientifically it's been proven that the pill itself and prolonged use of the pill, especially the high estrogen ones, do predispose to breast cancer, among other things. One of my concerns is, that when I go into pharmacies, I see people just going in and buying the pill and being dished it out. Don't know if those people were family planning trained or medics. But I'm just wondering who then follows up on the effect that the contraceptive pill could have on women's lives, among other things. I know there are other predisposing factors, but I want your take on that.
Okay.
The use of the contraceptive pill, who monitors it, who educates them about the mode of action and side effects, among other things like deep brain thrombosis and so forth. But seeing that your topic is specifically on breast cancer, please give me your take on the pill and that one. Thank you.
Thank you for your question. So, in respect to the pill specifically, and you're correct in respect to estrogen being a problem and estrogen therapy being a problem, so if, for example, and not only in respect to and I'll come specifically to the pill because with the pill it's different, but women, for example, who are menopausal or perimenopausal rather, and they're going through the initial symptoms of menopause, very often it would have been a habit to prescribe supplementary estrogens to be able to alleviate much of those symptoms. And that is definitely a risk factor for breast cancer. And as such, that practice itself, it has been significantly reduced and it's probably almost extinct by now. In respect to the birth control pill, though, what happens is that the birth control pill, it is not, at least what is being sold, it is not typically just the estrogen. What it is the combined pill. And so then once it is that it is the combined pill, in other words, then it has, both components, then what you will find is that it absolutely does not have any impact in terms of, increasing the risk to breast cancer. If it were just an estrogen pill alone being used for birth control, then yes, it would. But because of the fact that it's a combined pill, then, and again, that is what is being sold now, that is what is being marketed, it does not increase the risk for breast cancer. What we can say in respect to the birth control pill along with breast cancer is that the only thing that it in fact does is by helping to put off that first pregnancy. Because remember, we spoke a bit earlier in terms of the age of the first pregnancy, and what happens is that once it is that the first pregnancy is past the age of 30 or over, then that increases the risk by 50% when compared to the general population. And oddly enough, if you have that first pregnancy by 20, then what happens is that it decreases the risk of breast cancer by 50% when compared to the general population. And for individuals who would have had the first pregnancy before the age of 20, then that in fact too further decreases the risk by an additional third. So what that means is that, again, when it comes to the birth control pill specifically, if it is that you are a woman who would have already have had your first child, etc., there's really absolutely no concern in respect to breast cancer as a result of just taking the pill.
Mm-hmm. Thank you so much. So just to have a better understanding, so I don't want to say are you saying, but from what you've said, the younger you are when you get
Your
your
first
first
child,
child
right.
decreases the risk.
Absolutely. And this is by
Wow.
no means, and I myself too, I am a past teenage mother, by the way. My son is 24 years of age. And, as such, again, too, when I am looking at the possibilities in terms of risk and what it is that we have to look at, because we have to bear in mind we are all at risk for cancers, one cancer or another. And in fact, cancer is the second highest cause of death worldwide, and it is expected to be number one by 2030, in terms of incidence overall. And so then what that means is that we have to all be able to pay attention to what our individual risk factors are. And so then when it comes to the cancers that I myself, concern myself about, then breast cancer is not on the top of my list. I still do my month-to-month examinations that I should. I will still be doing my mammograms annually as I should, and so forth and so forth. But then there is an added layer of protection, dare I say, because it is in fact a protective factor. Not that we are advocating at all by any means in terms of teenage pregnancy or anything of that sort, but it is important so that when we are looking in terms of why is it that we have, greater incidence in breast cancer compared to other years, then this is why. Our grandmothers, they used to have their first sets of kids, at very early ages and so forth. And so then you find, in terms of the incidence, it was significantly lower compared to what it is that we are seeing now.
Wow. That is some really good, meaningful information. And I think some women are out there scratching their head. I mean, what's going on here, But very good information. And I think, as I said, the women are really intrigued.
Thanks.
Really, really intrigued to the discussion we're having here. So, yes, we're having the discussion with Dr. Marissa Grant Tate, a representative from the Ministry of Health here in St. Kitts and Nevis. We have a caller. Good morning, caller. You're on Voices.
Nice me, I'm back again.
Hi, Mrs. Henry.
Like you, I always find this analysis very interesting because then it flies against our culture of what the health people promote. No, serious, and then you have our young people going off to study. Sometime by the time they settle down, they're in their 30s. So what would you advocate?
The other factors.
But the young professionals, is there something since they're younger they can do? Maybe the contraceptives might help. I'm just wondering.
Right.
Most of them would tend to get their first child after they finish their first and second degree, their master's.
Correct.
So what can they do to protect themselves since they are not available to get their kids in their teenage? Because
and we're not advocating that they do either.
Well, but if you have to wait,
right.
I don't either, but when you listen to this, and then those who have no children, I mean, it sounds like get up and get a child if you want to live.
No, because bearing in
seriously.
mind too, there are other factors, that we still have to take into account. We still have to look at obesity, and so then what I would do, to any young woman who is pursuing studies and so forth, I definitely would encourage her to do that, but also to try and maintain what is a healthier lifestyle. Excluding what would be the excess sugars, excluding, the fats from the diet as much as possible in terms of the fatty diet and so forth.
Yeah, because in the old time days, they get in 12, they get in 13, no
Right.
cancer, no nothing. I mean, serious, when I look at life and I see, well, it makes you wonder, well, what happened to life? It seems as though the easier and more comfortable life becomes, the more vulnerable you are to these deadly diseases.
With breast cancer, that is in fact correct, because with breast cancer, right, once the
women out there, take warning, go get the child. And all of you young men who want to marry, please go and marry. You keep back the women. They are the one, like Mr. Cornelius, you married yet?
No, I'm not.
And you want somebody to get breast cancer? All right, then.
Thank you so much, Mrs. Henry, for your call. Do you have any comments?
No. just to emphasize that again, that there's no specific one factor that amounts to a breast cancer, a definitive breast cancer diagnosis. So it's a matter of knowing your factors, your risk factors, so that you would be able to pay attention, and then you would be able to calculate your risk and be able to emphasize on the screening methods as how should be.
Very good. I believe it is an individual thing, because Miss Henry said something. It's not that you just get pregnant at a young age to safeguard yourself from catching from contracting breast cancer.
Mm-hmm.
You have to look at the other risk factors,
Absolutely.
whether it's obesity, and unhealthy diet, or
alcohol.
alcohol.
And we have a lot of young women who party a lot, and
Drink a lot of rum.
right. And that in itself too is a risk factor for breast cancer and many other cancers as well. So the areas that we can put the work in, then those are the areas that we need to pay attention to. Lifestyle.
So it's a personal responsibility, because what if you decide to get a child at a young age, but then you find out that the breast cancer, it's something that is it happens frequently within your family, so it's in your genes.
Right.
Your mother had it, your grandmother had it, your uncle had it, your brother had it, and so you may think that doing all of these other things takes you out of that fraction of getting breast cancer.
Right. When it comes to the genetic aspect of it, when specifically with breast cancer, and generally too when it comes to cancers on a whole, the genetic frequency really only accounts for about 20% of the cases. So in other words, then, and when we speak to family history, it's still not the same as referring to, the genetics that would have been associated. What you find, even with families sometimes, and beyond genes, is that you have what is, a customary in terms, or something that is usual, and a usual practice rather, in terms of, lifestyle and habits and so forth and so forth. So, and to, of course, obviously, along the lines of, family history that can have some impact on it. But when it comes to specifically in terms of genetics, breast cancer and cancers on a whole, only about 20% of the cases are actually linked as such. Right?
Awesome. So, Doctor, I think I lost my question, but I had a question for those persons who were patients of breast cancer. Let's say you had breast cancer, and 5 years down the road you want to get a child, and because of that breast cancer you probably had to lose a breast. Does it affect you getting a child going forward?
No, it doesn't. And to be quite honest, everything comes back down to, the individual. And what you find too, because even that too, in terms of losing a breast, not all women have to lose the entire breast for breast cancer. And this is again to why we drive the emphasis on early detection, so that this can increase the likelihood of an early diagnosis, allow for what would be a more conservative treatment, a patient who might then instead be able to do a partial surgery, a partial mastectomy, instead of having the entire thing removed, which then would then have to be followed by other forms of treatment to help to reduce the likelihood of the cancer returning. But in terms of the overall aspect, in respect to fertility on a whole, no, it does not. And to be fair too, there's even breast cancer in pregnancy, and this is one of the other aspects that we look at and that we have to pay attention to. And yes, there is treatment. A patient who is pregnant, and if it is that she's diagnosed with breast cancer, then yes, she is treated as well throughout the pregnancy. For the cancer, the type of treatment and at what phase of the pregnancy she receives what is very specific. But the point of the matter is that there's treatment for everything and at every time.
But does that affect the pregnancy? Because
no, it does not.
Being pregnant and having to do, is it chemotherapy?
But there is chemotherapy that we use for pregnant patients, and it's a first line of chemotherapy as well. But then chemotherapy would only be applied from the second trimester onwards.
Wow.
Right.
A lot of good information here. I hope the men and women are listening and taking notes, so you could, have that personal responsibility and know how to, I don't want to say safeguard, but protect yourself from breast cancer and know your risk factors, whether it's within your genes or your diet or your bad habits. But we're going to take a short break, and we will be right back to welcome some calls and have some closing remarks by Dr. Marissa.
We're different. We're 98.9. 98.9 Win FM.
Every day, your immune system is compromised. You use up vitamin C quickly and even faster with stress and cold. Burst back into life with Halib Orange. Burst back into health with 1,000 milligrams of vitamin C, as much as in 12 oranges. Each effervescent tablet is bursting with fresh fruit flavour, sparkling orange, lemon and sugar-free blackcurrant, also suitable for diabetics. Health never tasted so good. Halib Orange, bursting with flavour, bursting with health.
Good day and welcome back to Voices. Today is Thursday, October 8th, and we're here having a discussion with Dr. Marissa Grant Tate. However, we are wrapping up this discussion. We had a very good discussion here this morning on breast cancer and related topics. The Ministry of Health and the Health Promotion Unit in St. Kitts and Nevis embarking upon an initiative for Breast Cancer Awareness Month. I will now allow Dr. Grant Tate to give her closing remarks. Doctor?
Okay, so again, just to point out that there is absolutely no need for us to be fearful in respect to when we hear the word cancer. Cancer is something that we are all, and I say all because I myself too, and many others, we are all prone to. And so it is necessary that we become aware of what our individual risk factors are. And in respect to breast cancer, then I want to emphasize on the need for monthly breast examinations importance that women examine their own breasts monthly. And again, just to emphasize that the purpose of the monthly breast examination is so that you as a woman, you can be familiar with what is there and with what is not ordinarily there. And so then ultimately this helps to be able to find, if something should appear, to find it very quickly and be able to be rid of the problem in a much easier and much more effective way. So just to point out that it's important that we do the necessary screens, we do the necessary checks, and you can help yourself quite a bit in terms of the overall outcome by doing that monthly breast examination. Lifestyle and diet, very important as well. If it is that you're a bit overweight, try and become a bit more active, try and make healthier food choices, and, pull along your friends, pull along your sisters, pull along your co-workers. Try and be rid of the things that we can avoid, the alcohol and so forth. And let's just basically march towards what would be a healthier lifestyle.
Thank you so much, Dr. Marissa Grant-Tate. It was indeed a privilege and an honor to have you here in the studios of 98.9 Win FM to provide some insight and some knowledge. Share your knowledge on this very, very interesting and important topic. This is the end of the first segment of Voices. We are now going to take a break for some ads to say thank you to our sponsors and for the news at 12. We will be right back after this break.
I am a king and I will never give up. Step on the battlefield now, royal soldier. All my lion soldiers, yeah. I'm right here, I'll forever stay young. Soar like an eagle, rise up, royal soldier. All my lion soldiers, yeah. They try to take my spirit, but they can't take my life, yeah. They try to test my strength, but it's all in their mind. They try to kill my day, but I can't kill my night. No, I know they wouldn't succeed even if they try, yeah. Oh, oh, oh. Whoa, 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 whoa. Boy, 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 yeah. Money fall on you, banana fall on you, Prada fall on you, cause I'm in love with you, eh. Money fall on you, banana fall on you, paparazzi follow you, cause I'm in love with you, yeah. Are you done talking? Tell me baby, are you done talking, yeah. Are you done talking? Tell me baby, are you done talking, yeah. Are you done talking? Tell me baby, are you done talking, yeah. Are you done talking? Tell me baby, are you done talking, yeah. I don't wanna be a player no more, yeah. I don't wanna be a player no more. Cause my guys call me Cristiano, Mr. Ronaldo, I'm on Nintendo. Cause my guys call me Cristiano, Mr. Ronaldo, I'm on Nintendo. Money fall on you, banana fall on you, Prada fall on you, cause I'm in love with you, eh. Money fall on you.
You found the sound. 98.9 Win FM.
We now bring you the Win FM Headline News. The Win FM Headline News is brought to you by Caribbean Alliance, KDP Enterprises, The Grange, Carib Brewery, CNC Trading.
Without limits, happy and free. G, the one to seize the day. Grab an LLB, live, love, be. With LLB, live, love, be. Live, love, be. Be who you know you can be. Grab an LLB, live, love, be. Angostura, lemon, lime, and bitters, live, love, be.
Protect your lifestyle with Caribbean Alliance Insurance. Dealing well with a low reputation and service for second to none. Securing you is our mission. People that you can trust, your business, property, we got you covered. Motor or personal, whatever it is, we got you covered. 130 years in this business, we got you covered. For all your insurance needs, visit or call us at 465-2631 or 469-5303. Dealey Walwyn, people you can trust.
Shipping your cargo shouldn't be a hassle. It can be as easy as a single call to Amerijet International, your worldwide cargo transportation solution. We provide all the services you need to ship your goods anywhere in the world. Whether your shipment is fresh, frozen, large or small, alive or hazardous, you can count on Amerijet to deliver it safe and sound. Amerijet International, by land, sea or air. We get it there. For more information, visit us online at www.amerijet.com or call us at KDP Enterprises, telephone number 466-9595.
Did you know that the Grange Healthcare Facility is the first purpose-built non-governmental healthcare organization on St. Kitts, offering 24-hour nursing, therapeutic, and residential care for older adults? It's situated at Otley, 7 miles east of Vastair in beautifully landscaped surroundings. The Grange has a team of highly trained professionals and provides care that's rated as being comparable with UK and North American standards. The Grange offers varied accommodation to suit your individual needs, and our all-inclusive packages make the cost of care per hour the most competitive on the island. Services include convalescent care for all ages, daycare facilities for older adults, rehabilitation services, and training and continuing education for healthcare providers. For more information, call 466-5525 or 465-8020, fax 466-8221, or email thegrangehealth@gmail.com, or visit our website at www.grangehealthcarefacility.com.
Maybe it's the way the brilliant gold liquid reflects our sunshine, or how the bright blue of its label mirrors the clear Caribbean skies overhead. Maybe it's the fresh, crisp taste of this beastly cold beer on a scorching hot day. Maybe it's even the way it brings us all together. But one thing is for sure, Carib is very much a part of who we are wherever we're from in the Caribbean. Carib. It's the way we play. Drink responsibly.
A virtual concert featuring top Caribbean performers planned for Saturday, October 30th, themed One Caribbean, One Future, One Yard, aims to improve access to remote learning for Caribbean children in this season of COVID-19. The concert is the brainchild of the Trinidad and Tobago headquartered Ansa McCall Group, one of the largest conglomerates in the region, with diversified companies in the Caribbean, Europe, and North America, including Carib Brewery and the Ansa Merchant Bank. Ansa McCall has created a One Caribbean Future Fund where donations made prior and on the night of the event will be used to purchase technology to support home-based learning for school children. Anthony Sabga, Group Chief Executive Officer, at a press conference Thursday morning, October 8th, stated,
It'd be 8 p.m. Atlantic Standard Time and 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. This is being powered by the Ansa McCall Group of companies and is being produced by Ultimate Events Limited. Thus far, our initial investment and contribution towards this is in excess of $1.5 million. That is what we've invested to get the ball rolling. Viewers could expect, and what viewers can expect is a concert like no other virtual concert has ever been produced and delivered at this level. The event will feature an all-star cast of all the top regional and Caribbean talent artists and will be streamed live on social media and broadcasted live via our own CNC3. And we urge all you other media entities that are with us today to take it on. I want to also say that we are prepared to syndicate this show for free, given the importance of what the show is in service of.
Chief Legal and External Affairs Officer of Answer McCall, Francis Bain Cumberbatch, said,
The Answer McCall Foundation has set up a special and specific One Caribbean Future Fund. That fund will be operational from Friday the 23rd of October through the official One Yard website, that is oneyardcaribbean.com. Persons can donate using the secure online payment platform on this website from that date or by simply texting to donate. The text to donate option will allow persons to donate any portion of the value of their subscription with their mobile provider to the One Caribbean Future Fund. Further information on the text to donate option will follow by week of Monday, 12th October.
The Ministry of Agriculture on Nevis hosted a seminar to discuss its third quarter reports at the St. Paul's Anglican Church Hall on October 6th, in keeping with its Agenda 2020 to assess the ministry's performance for the third quarter and to plan for the fourth quarter of 2020. Presentations were made by the different units within the Agriculture Ministry on their performance, namely the Quarantine Unit, the Engineering Small Farms Equipment Pool Unit, the Vet Services Unit, the Livestock Unit, the Agro-Processing Unit, the Extension Services Unit, the Marketing Unit, and the Forestry Unit. The Honorable Alexis Jeffers, Minister of Agriculture in St. Kitts and Nevis, in his remarks, spoke of the importance of the reporting session from all the units within the Department of Agriculture on their achievements and challenges, and to chart the way forward for the last 3 months of the year. He said the event is an important one, and what they are looking for is for some accountability in terms of reporting and in terms of what needs to be done to ensure that all of the persons who they expect to deliver for them at the department are doing their job. The Agriculture Minister added that coming out of the season, they will be able to plan adequately and put a sound pathway in place so that they can really say at the end of the year that moving forward, they'll be able to gauge themselves in terms of the market they're supplying to and making sure they are supplying the food that is needed to feed our nation. Huey Sargent, Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Agriculture on Nevis, explained that the purpose of the forum was to give agriculture stakeholders some insight into the ministry's achievements of its Agenda 2020 program. He explained that Agenda 2020 had been implemented for the past 3 years. However, this year a reporting segment was added after the ministry engaged the services of Augustine Merchant to help with the necessary corrective action. Merchant is a former Director of Agriculture who later became the coordinator of the Inter-American Institute for Cooperation on Agriculture AICA in St. Kitts and Nevis. In addition to stakeholders in Nevis, the session also saw in attendance officials from the Ministry of Agriculture in St. Kitts and representatives from the Taiwanese Technical Mission to St. Kitts and Nevis. On Wednesday, October 7th, 2020, the Ministry of Tourism, Transport and Ports held a media tour of the Robert Llewellyn Bradshaw International Airport on retrofit works ongoing at the airport. The works, which is being facilitated by the St. Christopher Air and Seaports Authority, will be done in 2 phases. Phase 1 involves the retrofit of the arrival area and the installation of sneeze guards, while Phase 2 will focus on the retrofit of the departure area. Minister of Tourism, Transport and Ports, the Honorable Lindsay Grant, gave specific details of the retrofit works taking place at the airport.
Detailed works in Phase 1 include the following. 1. Construction of a welcome center on the ramp of arrivals to house passengers ahead of the medical screening. This involves, as you will see outside, the erection of a 50 by 100-foot tent, transparent, on reinforced wood, flooring, and bathroom facilities in the containers that you see outside. The Welcome Center will be air-conditioned, equipped with seating to accommodate in excess of 140 passengers, a concession stand, and TVs displaying the relevant and pertinent information.
He added that the center is being built in a way to be easily dismantled and secured in the event of a storm or a hurricane. Minister Grant further stated that there will be the construction of a medical center with an isolation unit.
This facility will be used by the medical team and will also house passengers deemed by the medical team to be of high risk.
He added that there will be the reconfiguration of the immigration hall, which will be divided into two, physically separated by a partition. The port minister said one section will be used for the queuing of approximately 40 passengers physically distanced awaiting medical screening, and the other section for regular immigration processing. The VIP lounge will be transformed into a medical screening room outfitted with 4 screening stations and a thermal scanning cameras. Works are to be completed at a cost of $2 million funded by the government of St. Kitts and Nevis, and the works are being undertaken by Brisbane Ogaro, Alvaranga Architects, and Belay Project Management and Construction Incorporated. The retrofitting commenced on September 28th and is expected to be completed on October 26th, 2020. The borders are set to reopen on October 31st, 2020, with the first flight, which is American Airlines, landing on November 7th, 2020. A thermal equipment donation ceremony took place on Wednesday, October 7th at the arrival hall of the RLB International Airport, which formed part of the media tour carried out by the St. Christopher Air and Seaports Authority. More than 50,000 EC dollars of medical equipment sponsored by Inotech Services Limited was donated to SCASPA to aid in the fight against the coronavirus in St. Kitts and Nevis when the borders reopen on October 31st. Included in the package are 34 Trimedica non-contact medical grade thermometers and 1 HIK Vision temperature screening thermographic handheld camera. The medical grade thermometers has developed an easy-to-use, innovative non-contact thermometer offering connectivity and rapid transfer of patient results to an electronic medical record in a range of environments. The temperature screening camera is designed to detect elevated skin surface temperatures, can be used for rapid and preliminary temperature screening in office buildings, factories, stations, airports, and other public places. There is no contact with persons. It will detect the skin surface temperature of a person in 1 second. It can be used unmanned. It gives both audio and visual alerts, can be Wi-Fi and Bluetooth monitored, captures the photo of the passenger, and obtains the temperature from a safe distance. Anthony De Silva, chairman of Inotech Services Limited, thanked the government of St. Kitts and Nevis for the opportunity to make the donation, adding that the government cannot do it alone. That is why they have come to demonstrate their firm commitment to offer whatever service and assistance that is deemed appropriate and feasible.
St. Kitts and Nevis was among the top 3 cruise destinations up for this year's Sea Trade Award. Here now is the announcement of the winner.
And so to our first award for the Destination of the Year, sponsored by principal sponsor Oracle Hospitality. This award goes to a region, tourism body or association which has made significant strides in promoting cruise tourism over the past 12 months. And these 3 finalists did just that. Barbados, Cruise Copenhagen, and St. Kitts and Nevis. To reveal the winner, here's Oracle Hospitality's Ingo Sorensen.
Hello and good evening from the beautiful port of Hamburg. Oracle Hospitality Cruise is proud to sponsor this year's Sea Trade Cruise Awards again. And I will now announce the winners. I'm delighted to start with the destination of the year, where the winner is Barbados. Congratulations.
But during the COVID-19 pandemic, Barbados remained a place where home porting cruise lines found a safe haven, warmth and hospitality. In addition, ships were able to collaborate with Bridgetown Port and the broader destination to repatriate crew. Taking the Sea Trade Cruise Award for the Destination of the Year, Barbados.
In reaction from Barbados, this report Thursday morning, October 8th from Barbados Today.
Minister of Maritime Affairs and the Blue Economy, Cook Humphrey, is lauding the team at the Barbados Port Incorporated. The praise comes on the heels of the island's win of the Sea Trade's Cruise Destination of the Year Award for 2020.
This Sea Trade Cruise Destination of the Year Award is an achievement for which all Barbadians and all Barbadians can feel really proud. We, of course, are happy to receive the award, but Barbados never proceeded on this path to achieve an award. It was about a humanitarian approach to dealing with other people who were in need. And it helps to remember that there were Barbadians on board ships all over the world at the time. Barbados exhibited tremendous leadership, principle-driven leadership at a time when the world wasn't exhibiting leadership. And therefore, I wish to thank the staff and the management of the Bridgetown Port. I want to thank the chairman, who is now Minister of Tourism, also the Minister of Tourism, the Honorable Carrie Simmons. I want to thank the management and the staff of the port, as I said, but I really want to thank the guys who work the ships, dockers, porters, the ones who were going out and bringing in the ships, handling the ropes. Those guys, the team at the Bridgetown Port has been amazing, putting themselves on the front line. We were able to clear all of those vessels and to clear them safely. Not a single incident of COVID reported as a result of our interactions there. The port was tremendously outstanding in the way it dealt with this issue. And I would like to commend the staff of the Bridgetown Port. And really and truly, this award is an honor to them for the work that they put in.
In more news, this report from HTS St. Lucia in Castries.
The UWP Dennery North Youth Arm is helping less fortunate students stay safe and practice good hygiene amid the COVID-19 pandemic. In September, the group collaborated with UWP Dennery North candidate Senator Angelina Polius to donate hampers to 15 students in the constituency. The hampers also contained food items.
Our mission today is to try to reach the lives of as many persons in Dennery North, irrespective of your political affiliation or your age group. It is important that we care for everyone in community, and everyone in community is a family. And this is what we're trying to promote for our group. We're trying to really get people engaged, try to reach everybody, because at the end of the day, it's all about love, it's not about color. And we look forward to doing this, like I said, in the future. We want to do this even more. And we just hope that other groups would come on board and just try to make this a grand event so that we could give back to the community, because it's not only during the political season we should be doing these things. We do these things continuously, and this is something that I want to keep going. So I'd just like to say to the groups out there, feel free to be part of this initiative.
Students who benefited from the donation hailed from the Grand Riviere Secondary and Dennery Riviere combined schools. Senator Polius is a former educator at the Dennery Riviere School.
It is about engaging everyone, irrespective of one's political affiliation, irrespective of age. And so this is what we are doing today, trying to give back something to the students, to the community, to families, because we know that when we impact families, we also do change lives, okay? And I'm very happy to be here at this school, because this is a place where I taught for 16 years. Yes, so it is really, really a joy to be here and to give something back to the students.
The organization also contributed face masks to the Larry Seuss, Olio and Richford combined schools.
I'm sure the parents are extremely grateful. I saw one wiping her with her tears as she was walking out. And also we are grateful to the mask that they have provided us, because we have quite a few students coming on a daily basis without masks. So for this, we say a heartfelt thank you.
This is the first donation of its kind by the UWP Dennery Youth Arm, which hopes to continue similar exercises in the future. Colby DeVoe, HTS News Force.
The main topic of the Tuesday, October 6th broadcast of Leadership Matters was the reopening of the borders come October 31st and quelling concerns as to the protocols in place to protect the Federation. Chief Medical Officer Dr. Hazel Laws, in her remarks during the broadcast, stated that appropriate protocols are being developed and confirmed to ensure the safety of residents and the safety of the inbound travelers and tourists.
By way of background, we have looked at other Caribbean member states that have opened their borders ahead of us and have noted the best practices. Most Caribbean member states require inbound travelers from hotspots to submit a negative COVID-19 PCR pre-arrival test, and they must complete some form of quarantine upon arrival. The Caribbean member states are utilizing different models of quarantine. For example, in St. Lucia, effective September the 25th, persons from outside the Caribbean bubble must complete 14 days of quarantine at a COVID-19 approved quarantine site. St. Lucia officially opened its borders on July the 9th, and in that first phase, they only started with 2 COVID-19 approved all-inclusive hotels. The list of accommodations or hotels was expanded in the subsequent phase.
Dr. Laws went on to give an overview of the protocols for reopening our borders in the context of the COVID-19 pandemic.
We are taking a phased approach, and so in phase 1, all inbound travelers to the Federation will have to log on to the national website prior to traveling to complete and submit the entry form with required details, including evidence of a negative COVID-19 PCR test done within 3 days of travel. This PCR test must be done at an accredited laboratory. All inbound travelers to the Federation will fall into 2 categories. The first category will involve those travelers coming from a territory within the Caribbean bubble with minimal risk of exposure to the virus. The second category will involve travelers coming from a territory outside the Caribbean bubble with significant risk of exposure to the virus.
The first category involves inbound travelers from within the Caribbean bubble, referring to a traveler from any of the 8 Caribbean member states, including Anguilla, Antigua and Barbuda, Barbados, Dominica, Grenada, Montserrat, St. Lucia, and St. Vincent and the Grenadines. These islands met an inclusion criterion, having reported less than 20 new COVID-19 cases per 100,000 of total population within the last 14 days. The Ministry of Health will continue monitoring the situation in these territories, and member states will be removed from the approved list if transmissions of the virus are reported.
Once you travel directly to the Federation from a Caribbean bubble territory where you resided for at least 21 days, you have submitted a negative PCR test, you will be subjected to regular screening upon our arrival at our airports, and you will be asked to upload the national COVID-19 mobile application, whereby you will be monitored for the first 14 days. Once without symptoms or once asymptomatic, you will be allowed to integrate into the Federation without a period of confinement or quarantine. Inbound travelers from the Caribbean bubble can stay at private homes and at the COVID-19 certified non-franchise hotels. Please note that all arriving passengers from within the bubble who have been in transit in a country outside the bubble will be included in the second category.
In the second category, inbound travelers or tourists and returning nationals from outside the Caribbean bubble will have the option of staying at several COVID-19 approved accommodations that are pre-approved or certified quarantine or confinement sites with appropriate security facilities. The government-designated facilities include the Ocean Terrace Inn, the Royal St. Kitts Hotel, Owali Beach Hotel, and Potworks Estate in Nevis. Inbound travelers in Category 2 will be required to submit a negative PCR test result done within 3 days of travel from an accredited laboratory. They will also be subjected to screening at the airport and will be requested to download the National COVID-19 mobile app.
Once without symptoms or asymptomatic, the inbound traveler will be allowed entry into the Federation. The inbound international traveler or tourist will then be vacationing in place at the certified hotel with access to an approved package of services for the first 14 days or for the duration of stay if shorter. The international traveler or tourist will be required to do serial testing.
The serial testing will include tourists testing on day 7 and on day 14 if still in the Federation. Tourists who receive a negative PCR test on day 7 can be granted access to selective excursions or tourist destination sites on the island in a secure bubble.
All inbound travelers must receive a PCR test on day 14 of their vacation, and once the result is negative, the traveler will be allowed to integrate into our society. If the trip or vacation is less than 14 days, the tourist can easily depart the Federation with an exit test.
Tourists in the second category can only use COVID-19 certified taxis or ground transportation with appropriate partitions to move between the airport and the designated hotels, or to move between hotels and COVID-19 certified excursions or tourist sites on the island.
As I said before, we are going to take a phased approach. And so the second phase will involve an expanded list of hotels certified to accept inbound travelers or tourists with significant risk from hotspots. Such hotels must submit the appropriate protocols to ensure safe operations and minimal risk of COVID-19 outbreak on property. The second phase will also involve an expanded list of excursions and local tourist destination sites that are COVID-19 certified with the relevant protocols. The second phase more than likely will involve other changes in the existing protocols based on the surveillance data we would collect and the outcomes observed in the first phase.
In regional news, Guyana's Minister of Labour, the Honourable Joseph Hamilton, says there will be no more slave camps while he is head of the Labour Ministry. This is necessary, he said, to address a litany of concerns, including poor working conditions and salaries for employees. Minister Hamilton made the remark while addressing councillors of the Lethem Township in a recent trip to Upper Takutu, Upper Essequibo in Region 9. He emphasized the need for the rights of workers to be protected, stressing that no one will set up slave camps anymore in the country. Minister Hamilton added, trained staff must be stationed at outlying regions to ensure workers' rights are protected. He is quoted as saying, "My intention is to ensure that in every region outside of Region 4, we have at least 2 labor officers, 2 occupation safety and health officers, a board of industrial training officer, a co-op officer, and an officer for the Central Recruitment and Manpower Agency," end of quote. His suggestion in dealing with it is to invest in officers policing, not from Georgetown, but from the region. And his intention is to ensure people are trained from the region and sent back to the region to work. Controversially, Minister Hamilton stated that he wanted no implants from coastlanders or any hinterland region. The people who will work for the Ministry of Labour in these positions will be persons who are residents of the regions, Minister Hamilton said. Offices may be in various regions by the latest June 2021 after the passage of the 2021 budget. Additionally, Minister Hamilton said that officers will have to learn a foreign language, including Spanish, to effectively carry out their duties. Minister Hamilton has previously said that fundamentally the objective of his ministry is to ensure everything works towards human development. In more regional news, Antigua and Barbuda is questioning its categorization by the U.S. Center for Disease Control and Prevention as a Level 3 high-risk destination from which travelers arriving in the U.S. would have to quarantine. In a correspondence to the headquarters of the Center for Disease Control and Prevention, the U.S. State Department, and the Governor of New York State, Andrew Cuomo, Antigua and Barbuda's ambassador to the United States, Sir Ronald Sanders, called for an urgent review of the true and verifiable conditions in the country regarding its control and prevention of COVID-19. According to an article on the Antigua Tribune, Ambassador Sanders said that the facts would indicate that at worst, Antigua and Barbuda should be categorized as a Level 1 low-risk destination. He said more accurately, Antigua and Barbuda should be on the list of countries requiring no travel health notice, since the COVID-19 risk is very low and the country's performance in preventing and containing the virus is equal to many of the countries and better than others that require no travel health cautions. The Center for Disease Control Travel Advisory has included Antigua and Barbuda as high risk, along with another 200 countries, including Canada, many throughout Europe and the Caribbean, such as the Bahamas, Barbados, Belize, the BVI, Cayman Islands, Dominican Republic, Guyana, Jamaica, the U.S. Virgin Islands, and Trinidad and Tobago. Ambassador Ronald argued that Antigua and Barbuda experienced its first laboratory-confirmed case of COVID-19 on March 13th, and since then until October 5th, 2020, there have been only 3 deaths and 107 confirmed cases. He also explained that Antigua and Barbuda has neither community nor cluster spread, only sporadic cases, and its situation is very stable. These conditions, he said, are verifiable by the Pan American Health Organization. In his separate letter to New York State Governor Andrew Cuomo, the veteran diplomat said that he was aware that action was taken based on the CDC travel advisory to regard Antigua and Barbuda as a Level 3 country. But Sanders called on the governor to have his own health officials review the categorization of Antigua and Barbuda, which is affecting the people of New York State and Antigua and Barbuda's without genuine cause.
That was the WinFM Headline News, brought to you by KDP Enterprises, Caribbean Alliance, Carib Brewery, CNC Trading, The Grange.
Maybe it's the way the brilliant gold liquid reflects our sunshine, or how the bright blue of its label mirrors the clear Caribbean skies overhead. Maybe it's the fresh, crisp taste of this beastly cold beer on a scorching hot day. Maybe it's even the way it brings us all together. But one thing is for sure, Carib is very much a part of who we are wherever we're from in the Caribbean. Carib, it's the way we play. Drink responsibly.
Did you know that the Grange Healthcare Facility is the first purpose-built non-governmental healthcare organization on St. Kitts, offering 24-hour nursing, therapeutic, and residential care for older adults? It's situated at Otley, 7 miles east of Vastair, in beautifully landscaped surroundings. The Grange has a team of highly trained professionals and provides care that's rated as being comparable with UK and North American standards. The Grange offers varied accommodation to suit your individual needs, and our all-inclusive packages make the cost of care per hour the most competitive on the island. Services include convalescent care for all ages, daycare facilities for older adults, rehabilitation services, and training and continuing education for healthcare providers. For more information, call 466-5525 or 465-8020, fax 466-8221, or email thegrangehealth@gmail.com, or visit our website at www.grangehealthcarefacility.com.
Shipping your cargo shouldn't be a hassle. It can be as easy as a single call to Amerijet International, your worldwide cargo transportation solution. We provide all the services you need to ship your goods anywhere in the world. Whether your shipment is fresh, frozen, large or small, alive or hazardous, you can count on Amerijet to deliver it safe and sound. Amerijet International, by land, sea or air. We get it there. For more information, visit us online at www.amerijet.com or call us at KDP Enterprises, telephone number 466-9595.
Protect your lifestyle with Caribbean Alliance Insurance. Daily low with a low reputation and service per second to none. Securing you is our mission. People that you can trust, your business, property, we got you covered. Motor or personal, whatever it is, we got you covered. 130 years in this business, we got you covered. For all your insurance needs, visit or call us at 465-2631 or 469-5303. Dealey Walwyn, people you can trust.
Without limits, happy and free. The skin you're in with no apology. The one to seize the day. Grab an LLB. Live, love, be. With LLB. Live, love, be. Live, love, be. Be who you know you can be. Grab an LLB. Live, love, be. Angostura, lemon, lime and bitters. Live, love, be.
We're different. We're 98.9. 98.9. Win FM.
Do you know your indoor air quality? Did you know that mold and bacteria particles are floating in the air you breathe and can cause illnesses? Steam can purify all indoor surface areas. Steam and air purification will allow you to breathe easy. Breathe Easy is the name of a business which promotes pure indoor air quality, offering professional sanitization service for residential, commercial, industrial, and public spaces. The air quality will be tested prior and post-service. Our team will delicately scrub your air so you can breathe easy. Call today for assessments and bookings at 667-0557 or 765-4925. So give us a call and breathe easy.
Weather tonight, mostly fair. Winds east-northeast this afternoon and tonight at 6 to 15 kilometers or 3 to 8 knots. Some lighter and variable or calm spells are also expected tonight. Seas 0.6 to 1 meters or 2 to 3 feet. Sunset today at 5:54 p.m. Sunrise tomorrow at 6:03 a.m. The weather is brought to you by Breathe Easy.
Do you know your indoor air quality? Did you know that mold and bacteria particles are floating in the air you breathe and can cause illnesses? Steam can purify all indoor surface areas. Steam and air purification will allow you to breathe easy. Breathe Easy is the name of a business which promotes pure indoor air quality, offering professional sanitization service for residential, commercial, industrial, and public spaces. The air quality will be tested prior and post-service. Our team will delicately scrub your air so you can breathe easy. Call today for assessments and bookings at 667-0557 or 765-4925. So give us a call and breathe easy.
Found the sound. 98.9. Win FM.
Good afternoon, St. Kitts and Nevis, and welcome back to Voices for Thursday, October 8th, 2020. I am your host, Devonne Cornelius. This morning we had a very meaningful discussion with Dr. Marissa Grant-Tate on Breast Cancer Awareness Month, and she used the opportunity to, enlighten the general public and the listeners about some of the activities that will be taking place throughout the month, facilitated by the Ministry and the Health Promotion Unit. But this afternoon, we are going to change gears a bit, and we're going to get into some different discussions. And so it's going to be, kind of an open discussion where you can call in and weigh in on an issue that is bothering you, because remember, this is Voices, so it is an opportunity for you to hear your voice and opinion on something that is affecting you, whether it be here in St. Kitts and Nevis or across the Caribbean region or internationally. Right now, the hot topic, is about Carnival, and people are asking the question, is Carnival being held this year? And some persons are just, wondering what will be taking place during the course of this year. Some people think that Carnival is not being held. Also, you have happening internationally. You have the U.S. elections with President Donald Trump, who contracted the COVID-19 virus, and I think they canceled some of the debates that he was supposed to have. And Donald Trump is saying that he doesn't want any debate to be canceled. He's not having any virtual debate. He wants to have the debate in person with Joe Biden. A lot of things are happening. We had here in St. Kitts and Nevis too a big, I don't even know what to call it, but the money laundering issue at the Police Cooperative Credit Union. And so a lot of things are happening. So this is the opportunity for you to call in and weigh in on an issue, a topic. It could be anything you want to talk about. Of course, being respectful and respecting the views and opinions of other persons. But it is an opportunity for you to call in and weigh in on this very important matter. But I would want to touch on the Carnival topic before we continue. Last night, I was at a forum. Let me use the word forum. And this person kept saying, "Oh, Carnival is cancelled. They're having a Carnival this year. And my response was, well, who tell you so? Who told you that? Who told you that there's no Carnival this year? Oh, the minister come and say Carnival cancelled. The minister said some of the traditional events have been cancelled. Carnival in its entirety has not been cancelled. And so, due to the current situation, you're going to have to, tweak some events. And so the usual mass gatherings, you can't really have those because of the protocols that will be in place and that we now have in place. But people are of the opinion, and I wonder why people are of the opinion that Carnival has been cancelled. Can anybody tell me why you think Carnival has been cancelled? And do you think Carnival should have been cancelled? And it begs the question, would we in St. Kitts and Nevis be making a profit from Carnival this year if when we host these activities, or would it be a loss? What is your perspective on having Carnival this year in this current COVID-19 situation, COVID-19 climate? Do you think that it is the wisest thing to do going forward, having Carnival? Because, based on what events that we will be having, I think the minister did say that some traditional events have been cancelled. But, if you're going to have a mass gathering, of course it's going to increase the risk of you catching contracting the COVID-19 virus. And so a lot of questions are being raised, a lot of questions are being asked. And again, this is Voices. So call in and share your views, share your opinions, and tell the people, or let the listening public know how you feel about any of the topics that I would have mentioned earlier. We have a caller. Good afternoon, caller. You're on Voices.
Good afternoon. Hello?
Yes, good afternoon, caller. You're on Voices.
Hello?
Yes, good afternoon. You're on Voices.
Yeah, my suggestion. Being on a carnival, show what's going on in the world today. It's not saying it's one decide to postpone the carnival until 2021. Yeah, a lot of people frustrated because jump up and jump up. But every year we have carnival. And unless something happens, we don't have it. It happened already, through a hurricane or something like that, right? But what I'm saying now, instead of frustrating yourself, just wherever they're having, we just give thanks and then let us get together and, have a prayer day. Pray out 2020 and pray in 2021 because when you sit down and watch what's going on in the world today, it's a lot of lives. A lot of lives have lost,
Yes, but caller, you said carnival has been postponed.
Okay, to certain things, not everything.
Yes.
Certain events. We over contract a lot. A gathering.
Yes.
Like Jobe and Parade and so. But me definitely ain't vexing. There's a small vendor and they make a little money. But money in all. Life is much more.
Health and safety.
But what I say, we just come together with out 2020 and we pray in 2021 and just give thanks because when you sit down, a lot of people lost their loved one, a lot of people lost their breadwinners, a lot of people going through it right now. You know what I mean? So instead of we down here like fretting up we head because we lost a little one to think in the carnival. A lot of people out there like much more worse than us. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you just take it as a loss and a win because you ain't got to go home and buy no clothes and this and that. You just save money and then see what next year comes. So I think we need a lot of prayer, man. The youth especially, we need a lot of prayer. I don't see them playing. I just see them waking up and living. Don't play until they get sick or something like that. So just let us play out and see where you come down to. And then at the end just give them free. That's how I see it. Money and all, funny and all. Life matters too. Give them.
Yes. Thank you so much, caller, for weighing on this very important topic. And yes, some events would have been cancelled within Carnival, but Carnival as a whole, Carnival is still being held. But yes, some events, the Carnival committee had to make some adjustments, which is expected. So, and the caller would have mentioned that he is a vendor. He's a small vendor, and vendors in their entirety would be affected because of less or smaller gatherings. We have a caller. Good afternoon, caller. You're on Voices.
Good afternoon, Mr. Cornelius.
Hi, good afternoon. How are you?
I am well. How about you?
I am awesome. Having a fantastic day. Thanks for asking.
Wonderful. Extremely proud to hear you on Win FM.
Thank you.
Handling stuff like that you always do. I would like to propose that COVID-19 is challenging us to change our ways, change our mindsets, change the way we do things. We've got to come up with different ideas. And I know none of us likes change, huh? Change brings a lot of fear. But Carnival without being on the streets, Carnival without a parade, Carnival without Juve, we don't know any other way. Is it time for us to learn another way of enjoying ourselves without the crowd? One of the things I thought about, maybe they can have the schools in their do their costumes and do a parade at each, a mini display at each individual school, and then judge them that way as opposed to having a parade and doing it. That's one of the thoughts that have come to my mind. A virtual Miss St. Nevis Carnival? How do you do that? It takes away something from the whole. But then again, that's what we're accustomed to. Should we now be more open to changing what we're accustomed to? It's not going to be easy, but it's challenging us to change the way. And Devon, I stoops all the time. So I'm like, I can't deal with this. That mask thing drives me absolutely out of my mind. But I know I have to do it because this is the life that we have now. Tomorrow it may be something else. So, we've got to now come up with different ways and different ideas of how to enjoy Carnival without allowing it to get the better of us. The competition is one way that can really drive Carnival into a whole different facet. Coming up, we can dress up for Juve in our homes, put on a little music in the yard, and let the guys with the cameras come out into the neighborhood and take pictures of people doing Juve in their yard. Has anybody thought about that? I don't know. Will it be weird? It's going to feel weird. It's certainly not going to feel like what we are accustomed to. But, hey, the way this thing is going, nothing is going to be like what we are accustomed to. And that, I think, is the most difficult part of dealing with COVID-19. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Tessa, and thank you for weighing in on this topic. And you did say something there that it really begs the question, different ways of celebrating Carnival because of the current situation, different ways of because COVID-19, of course, will take away that the traditional aspect of Carnival. And so how do you have Carnival without a Juve? How do you have Carnival without a fete or something like that? How would the usual patrons be able to enjoy Carnival when some of the activities have been cancelled because of the current situation? And so you have to find different ways of, celebrating Carnival this year and maybe this not hope, going forward. As long as we are in this challenging COVID-19 times, you really, really have to find ways of really enhancing the activity because COVID-19 has had a very, devastating impact on not just Carnival. But we have a caller. Good afternoon, caller. You're on Voices. We lost that call. Caller, you can call back. And we're having this very open discussion on Carnival and any other topic that you would want to weigh in on. But as I was asking before, do you think that Carnival should be held this year? Good afternoon, caller. You're on Voices. We have a call. Good afternoon, caller. You're on Voices.
Good afternoon. There's a saying that prevention is better than cure, right? So it's either we have Carnival in full or we don't have none at all. Do I understand that last caller to be saying we should have a Juve and all kind of thing, go going to school and got children dressed up? Are we looking for the second wave? It's either we have it or we don't have it. 93, we had a riot, we didn't have no Carnival. But thank God nobody had dead. You recall that?
Well, I wasn't. I'm not that old, so.
You're not that old. 1993, we had a riot here, and we had no Carnival, and nobody had dead, as far as I know. This is a different ball game here. This is a matter of life and death. So, like I said, it's either we have it or we don't have it at all.
I think the caller was saying before, though, not really having Juve, but like smaller activities. Because, you can't really have 2, 3, 400 people gathering, but small activities, and so the individual schools will host their small little events.
But so right now, school you can't control your children. Them you won't be able to. You can't control them now. You won't be able to control them in an environment like that. I say it's either you have it or you don't have it at all. One or the other. One have it, go out, have fun, and they can't blame nobody. Come down with the boy, they can't blame nobody. That's all I have to say.
Thank you so much, caller, for weighing in on this topic. So, yes, we're here talking about carnival and call in, hear your views. Tell us how you feel about, having carnival this year and, the limitation that has been put on some of the events. Good afternoon, caller. You're on Voices.
Good afternoon, Mr. Cornelius.
Good afternoon,
How are you? Hope
Mrs.
you had a
Inman.
good lunch.
Yes, I did.
Oh, you did. Oh, that's a first. Your lunch don't share down with FM. India done that.
Yeah.
Now, October is financial information or in financial literacy month. Are you aware of it?
Yes.
But I don't think we quite get it. I hear the song by the one who sing by Back of the Land. I think he sang the song, the theme song, talking about saving your money.
Mm-hmm.
Now here we have a population bawling, all things hard, who can eat and who could eat. The price that I hear they pay for the costumes and the price they pay for the fets, where was it going to come from?
Mm-hmm.
And you say you're not working, so where would you get the money? You see our priorities? That is why a lot of us are poor. We have our priorities mixed up. Think of the savings you are making or the expenses you are avoiding. Carnival can done. And as the person said, put on your radio, the same song's going to be there. I mean, I can't believe it. You hear money radio. Oh, when they can get the next stimulus package. So they want the stimulus package to go pay down on the costume. Nothing cheap, no fat cheap. What the cheapest fat they have in St. Kitts? Do you have any idea?
I have no clue.
You don't go?
No, not really.
Are you a Christian like me?
Somewhat, yes.
Well, that's the best thing. You don't apologize. That's the
Yes.
best life you could live is to be a Christian. Best life. That's the best thing I ever did for myself.
I'm not really a big
Turn
fan
my
of
life over to God.
Oh,
And
wow.
I'm not sorry.
all the
What
fets
you
and
done
stuff.
for me, nobody else, no politician. You see me ain't got to beg nobody. Sit down here and run my mouth. Nobody could tell me, Henry, don't call it. Nobody,
Freedom of speech.
The Lord is my shepherd. He
Freedom of
feeds me.
speech, Mrs. Henry.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is this, right? You see what my point? We must be a more responsible people. We work, we eat it off. We squander it. I mean, people clamoring, I want to go fat, I want to go fat. And the same people have children home in the house they can't feed, you know. And then, the government ain't doing this and the government ain't doing that. Government give me lunch every day all through the corona. We have got to be more responsible. They're doing you a favor. So, all right, they say they're going to have carnival. Where you going to find the $2,000 and the $3,000 from to pay for the costume? And Juve is not free. When I was growing up, Juve was free. You put on some pajama, old clothes, you jump up behind the steel band or behind the brass band. That was Juve. Now they got Juve troop. Juve troop and you have on a T-shirt, you know? A T-shirt and you're paying 100 and something. So stop and think. The Bible says wisdom is the principal thing. So while it is you think you miss, think of all the expenses. And some of you would have to go and sell yourself. You'd have to go and prostitute yourself to get the money. Or you'd go and pressure the poor men them to a nervous breakdown to give you the money. So I want our people to be more responsible. The word is innovation, resilience, innovation, and security. Because I want to be more resilient. The hurricane season ain't over, We're right plumb in the middle of it in case some of you forget because nothing hit the country yet. Listen to the news. Category 5, Category 4 going so. And we hear fussing about, we ain't on a carnival. If one of them come, you see where our island is located in the archipelago? We're right in the middle. What would happen if one come and hit your house? The government just don't fix the roof. They must fix it back. As the young man said, you all need to go and pray. Give God thanks every day. Father, thank you that you spare our country. You spare us on corona. You spare us on a direct hit. And whatever they give you, all of you are you're accustomed to be on Zoom, ain't nothing new. Whatever they put in is what you're accustomed to do. So I am calling upon our people to act intelligently, reasonably, and to be more innovative. All right, then.
Thank you so much, Mrs. Henry, for calling in and weighing on this very important topic. And, I'm glad you touched on Financial Information Month and, literacy and so on, people really understanding the importance of saving. And even in this hard COVID-19 times, you would have realized that a lot of people didn't even save their money. But we have another caller. Good afternoon, caller. You're on Voices.
Good afternoon. I'm tending to agree with the previous caller who says we either have it or we don't. Okay. It sounds to me like the Minister of Carnival and the chairperson of the Carnival Committee are working at cross purposes. I got the distinct impression that Carnival was off from the minister, whereas the Carnival Committee chairman seems to be saying it's on. There will be a Carnival 49. Well, all of us know what the Carnival experience is like. And I don't think we're tearing that down. Okay? We're damaging the brand of Carnival when we try to have it both ways. Okay? Have a different kind of Carnival. All right? COVID is not going to last forever. So we will...
Of course not.
We could have... Hello?
I said, of course not.
Right. So at some point, we could have a Carnival 49 and a Carnival 50. There's no problem with that. Okay? But just to have a carnival or some semblance of carnival for having its sake is not a good reason. I rather like some of the activities that she mentioned that we can have, and by all means have some alternative way of entertainment, have a substitute way of, the vendors and whoever else can make some money, if possible, because one of the things that COVID should be teaching us is how to share, how we can redistribute income, because that is important. Some people still have jobs, but then some others don't. Okay? So right now the whole economy is skewed. There may be some have and a lot of have not. And we should, as far as possible during the crisis, trying to, level the playing field a little bit more, okay, at least just until the crisis is over and people can return to their normal jobs and that sort of thing. But I think it's a mistake to say that we're going to have Carnival this year. We won't. We'll have some alternative means of entertainment, but not Carnival as we know it. Okay, that's my contribution.
Thank you so much, caller, for calling in and weighing on this very important topic. So, yes, it begs the question. Should we have Carnival this year or we cancel Carnival? You have the people who are, I don't even know what word, but party animals. We have a caller. Good afternoon, caller. You're on Voices.
Good afternoon, Mr. Host.
Good
In
afternoon.
relation to having Carnival, I personally disagree. we should postpone Carnival until we think it's safe. We can have mass gathering. Postpone it, and as one caller said in 1993, we had no Carnival because we had civil unrest. Now, in my view, this COVID-19 thing is more serious than the civil unrest. Now, one died in 1993 as a result of the civil unrest, but Carnival was postponed or cancelled. So I'm saying that we should postpone or cancel Carnival in its entirety until we think that it's really safe for us to have mass gathering and so. COVID is real. People are dying from it. Our population is just a drop in the water of the amount of people who die as a result of COVID. So let us not be foolish. And for a moment's pleasure, we expose our people to serious and deadly harm. Thanks for listening.
Thank you so much, caller. Yes, you are listening to Voices here on 98.9 Win FM, and we're having basically an open discussion. However, thus far we have been talking about Carnival. We have a caller. Good afternoon, caller. You're on Voices.
Hello? Oh, wait. Listen.
Hello, good afternoon.
I do not think we should have Carnival this year. Tell you the truth, I am not so certain if we should have Carnival in any year. Based on what constitutes Carnival at the moment, I am challenging anyone to describe to me what is the intrinsic value inherent in Carnival. I'm challenging anyone to clarify for me the relationship between Carnival and our history. Show me what aspects of Carnival highlights true indigenous Kittitian culture. And by the way, I'm not referring to the folklore troops. Please bear that in mind. But not only that, here we are regularly saying we thank God for keeping us safe from COVID. No one has even been, apart from no one dying, no one has even been hospitalized. No one has had to be in the ICU. No one has had to be on any ventilators. We thank God. God is good to us. And we are clamoring to show God our gratitude and appreciation by engaging in regular wanton revelry, festival of the flesh. I mean, isn't that hypocrisy at its highest? Isn't that depravity at its lowest? I believe that instead of clamoring for Carnival, as presently constituted, we should use the opportunity to get serious about thanking Almighty God for His benevolence, His mercies, His grace, His compassion, and live lives or begin to show that we really appreciate Him by changing our behavior in a manner that pleases Him as far as possible. Because, of course, we'll continue to be imperfect. We're going to make mistakes. But I do not believe that in 2020, based on what has happened, based on what is happening, we should really be asking for Carnival.
Thank you so much, caller, for weighing in on this very important topic. We are continuing the discussions here this afternoon on 98.9 Win FM for another edition of Voices. It's, again, an open discussion. We have a caller. Good afternoon, caller. You're on Voices. Good afternoon, caller. You're on Voices.
Good afternoon to you, and greetings in the name of Jesus Christ, the Lord God Almighty. Now, first of all, I'd like to say, I'm not really calling in on Carnival directly, but what I would like to say is this. Where the COVID is concerned, I think too much is being played up concerning it. I think it is very much overhyped. For example, the UN, not long ago, gave out the estimate of how much people they think contracted the COVID. And when which number I do not remember at the moment. And when you when you put against it the amount of people died from the COVID to the estimate, as that does with the same thing with the flu, and some of the things that people had it, the COVID has been no worse than a bad season of the flu, percentage-wise, proportionally. The COVID season is equal to a bad season of the flu. So this COVID thing has been much overhyped. And a lot of fear has been spreading over this COVID thing that is not justified anywhere. Because it's just equal to a very bad season of the flu. And we don't go through all of this for a simple bad season of the flu. Also, right now, where the COVID is concerned, we don't really have a pandemic anymore of the COVID. What we have is called a case-demic, where, yes, in certain places, because of testing has increased, it appears as though more people is getting it. And in other places, it does seem as though it is increasing, the cases. But at the same time, the death rate has gone way down. So it is either one, the virus is getting weaker, or two, we found better ways in treating it, or three, maybe the virus is getting weaker, and at the same time, we have found better ways in treating it. But whatever the case is, even though in some cases, more people might get the drug to a spike, at the same time, the death rate is going down and down and down and down. It is way down right now compared to when it was at the peak earlier in the year. So, this COVID case-demic, it ain't really a pandemic anymore. It's really a case-demic right now. It's been overhyped, and we are being scared out of our wits over nothing that is worse than a bad case season of the flu, the regular seasonal yearly flu. So that is what I basically wanted to say, and we need to stop make ourselves be afraid of things that isn't really so. And secondly, lastly, I would like to, as I always say, to tell people that abortion is wrong, it is an evil, it is a wickedness, and we need to stamp out abortion out of the land. And I would like to discourage everybody, both men and women, discourage the women from getting an abortion, and discourage the men from encouraging them to have an abortion. Because abortion is murder of the unborn. It is an evil, wicked, murderous thing in the sight of God. But if we repent of it, God will cleanse us from all of our sins by the blood of Jesus Christ. So there is hope. If we repent, there is hope in the blood of Christ, no matter what sin we commit. Thank you very much.
Thank you, caller. We have another call. Good afternoon, caller. You're on Voices. Okay, we lost those. We lost that call. Do we have another call? We have another call. Good afternoon, caller. You're on Voices.
Hey, good afternoon. I'm calling in connection whether or not we should have carnival this year. And I know when people hear my voice, they might be a bit disappointed with what I said because they know who I am. And they know I've served on the carnival committee for years. I personally feel that for 2020, we can cancel carnival completely, and this is going to surprise everybody, and put Christ back into Christmas. And let us have a joyful Christmas, thanking God for his spared mercies. We have been so blessed not to have one case taken to the hospital, worse yet, to have died. We were, as far as I'm concerned, we seem to be a religious set of people. And if we do without carnival for 1 year, it's not the end of the world. I think cancer carnival would be that it's better to be safe than sorry. I have seen Juve mornings And I always say something that I would not like to repeat, but I might repeat it. I always say if Satan came on earth, look at the amount of souls he would get. I go to church on Sundays, even though we have the COVID-19, and the amount of empty pews in the church, it makes me wonder if people recognize that they can come to church. My age is really one of the ages that they said should not come to church unless we call and make a reservation in advance. As far as I'm concerned, I'm not traveling, so I don't call to make no reservation. I get ready, I go to church, I wear my mask, I'm sanitized when I reach to the church door, and I am the only person sitting in the bench that I'm sitting. So I believe if we put a little more into going to church on Christmas Day or Boxing Day, they have church, then we can do without carnival for 2020 if life permits. Because Trinidad, who is known to have the best carnival in the world, they have already announced that there will be no carnival for 2021. And I'm saying 2021, and we are talking about December 2020. So I think we can do without having carnival this year. And like I say, put Christ back into Christmas. And we can go and see our relatives and our friends. And if we have gifts to exchange the gift, be covered with your mask, sanitize, give your Christmas greetings. If they have a slice of cake and they want you to sit down and have a slice of cake and a drink, do that and go back home and say thank you, Jesus, for saving our lives. But I say Cancer Carnival 2020, and let us put Christ back into Christmas. Thank you. God bless and be safe.
Thank you so much, caller. At this time, we will take a break and we will be right back.
.9 is Win FM.
It's the Horsford's Independent Sales Drive for the months of September to October. Horsford's Automotive will be on their biggest sales drive for 2020. Come to Horsford's Automotive in the months of September and October and drive away with up to $30,000 discount on select models. Your choice of either free gas for 3 months or up to $1,000 in free groceries. 50% discount on VAT. Yup, for the months of September and October, pay just 8.5% on VAT. Free servicing for 1 year. Free bill of sale. Free registration, licensing, and tinting. 0 down payment. That's right. Absolutely no down payment. And much, much more. It's the Horsford's Independent Sales Drive. Terms and conditions apply. See store for details.
Welcome back to Voices. We have a call. Good afternoon, caller. You're on Voices. We lost that call. Feel free to call back. Yes, this is Voices on 98.9 Win FM. We have a call. Good afternoon, caller. You're on Voices.
Hello, yeah, it's me again. Calling to before the caller was saying that the COVID is doing so much. What do you think it is? You have a reason. Because the doctor them and the nurses them and everybody working. And in terms of it down, he had the lockdown, school shut down, nobody going church, nobody going nowhere, no dance. That's why it down. They have to work to keep it down. Now, as they say how we spread, one person could have it. I'm going to a supermarket, and it's 20 people in the supermarket at least. Maybe what? 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. In the whole 20 can catch it. And then they go out and they spread it. So the lockdown now is what makes it down today. And you got certain schools still ain't open in the world. They ain't going to school, they're doing school online because it's how we spread. We gather up together. So I don't know why people moving so like, or we must have a carnival, we must jump up. You only for a couple of days. So okay, I'm gonna ask you a question. You make 20,000 today, and tomorrow you're in the hospital and you're dying in bed. What are you gonna do with that 20,000?
Very good question.
Yeah.
Well,
You understand?
if I'm on my dying bed, I can't really use the 20,000.
Exactly. So we have carnival, and January, the hospital full of people with COVID. It's gonna be a different talk. Let us have what we having, respect the authority, and as I say, let us spread out 2020 and bring in 2021 with good vibes and move on. This thing only for a while. So some people like talking like if we ain't have carnival, we're gonna dead. Or we have the jump up and the pandem and so. No. That's why I tell everyone pray because they ain't considering the life. They is not considering the life. It's only when a lot of them on sick bed they don't consider the life and I realize they ain't seeing it. Only when people get in accident, somebody gets shot or stab up on the sick bed, they want the most prayer. That's how I see it. Not me, I pray every day. But I'm saying use them today. They're just waking up and living the aim, pray in the aim, they just living. Media, Facebook, etc. They're just living. They ain't praying to nobody. So at least, let us go a little couple of days of prayer for December, bring in 2021, and just give thanks for life. Wherever the guy in the little flow club, wherever, just let us live. Simple. Because what's here, any gathering you're going, even a band somewhere, you know how much people want to go? Today, a lot of people don't want to go to this place, yeah. Tickets sold out, etc.
Even with the fete they had in Nevis sometime back.
Exactly. Tickets sold out up there, and people still jump the fence, and people still barrage the gate to get in. So, if we got one to COVID post out there, say, and they don't know they have it, and they go in this place, you know what's going to happen? I mean, people just got to sit down and understand life and work out life. Life ain't just living for today. Life is a longer challenge than that. Give thanks.
Thank you so much, caller, for weighing in on this topic. We just lost that caller. Feel free to call back here on Voices, Win FM 98.9. We're having this open discussion. We have a caller. Good afternoon, caller. You're on Voices. Good afternoon. You're on Voices.
Yes, it's me again. Good afternoon, Greg. That's my good friend, Greg. Now, Trump said it was a blessing. Corona is a blessing. I think it was a blessing in church, It was a blessing that he got it. Because he, like others, downplaying it. It all over in the White House. And he was frightened for his life. He's still putting up a front,
Yeah, I think that he had asked if he's going to die.
Yeah, Donald Trump putting up a front. And until Corona end up in our homes or in the home of our relatives, we would not be minimizing, just a number. It's just 200,000. Think in some families, 3 persons have die. You're concerned about abortion, the unborn. You're concerned about the living. These are the same ones who have a soul, you know. And, I mean, why are you minimizing people's lives to prove a point?
Mm-hmm. Well, you know, Mrs. is the saying that goes, who in the kitchen feel the heat? And so...
I'm telling you, Donald Trump thought it was a joke until he had to get oxygen. And imagine that he took a drug, an experimental drug. He had access to treatment, which if some of those 200 and something thousand had more, might have been alive.
Yes.
You realize that?
Yes.
He got all kind of treatment. And some people were not even given one chance to go on a ventilator. They look at your blood paper, all right, put you over there, die. That is murder. What you call the geriatric death. A lot of them are murdered. Trump was given all kind and all sort. Half of the truth didn't even come out. And he's pretending he overate. And we have people coming, oh, well, you're making too much of corona. I hope they get the blessing like Trump. We got to be wise. The Bible says wisdom. I mean, you're talking about going to heaven and hell. You know where some of those people gone? These are not numbers. I'm a statistician, I know numbers. I myself in my head saying, boy, if you put Sage's population into that number, we die 4 times. 4 times.
Yeah.
I mean, 50,000 into 200,000 is 4 times.
Yes, yes.
And
it's even rising. The death toll in the U.S.
relatives in some of those same hot spots.
Yes.
And, oh, it's just a number, and you're making too much of it. And it's just a flu. You serious? Think what you're saying, you hear me? Because the Bible says God takes no pleasure in the death of the wicked. He rather the wicked turn and live. God don't take no pleasure in it. So when you say, oh, it just did numbers. Every number is a soul. So think about it the next time. I mean, they're crying. I listen to them on the television, you know, they're crying, oh, you know, the abortion. I don't support abortion, eh? Let me make it straight. But when you're going to be bawling for the abortion, you should be bawling about all the souls who gone and who still to go. While it is true that the rate going down, every day it is somebody who belongs to somebody else. Think about that. It could be your family. What if you wake up in the morning like Trump? You think you're going to get all of those drugs? How many persons my age, you could call them, were murdered? Murdered. They were never given a chance to get nothing. And Mr. Trump had everything. But in the end, God is the one who knows our life, eh? So I beg you, please, brother, please beg the Lord, give you a heart. I know you love your party, you love your ideologies, which lean towards the Republican Party. And you see how many of them getting it now? Mm-hmm. A lot of them losing their speech. He called them to the Rose Garden to bury them. Blessed is the man that does not walk in the counsel of the ungodly. That's what he did. He bring the poor woman to go and expose her. So all of you hope they think, oh, well, he ain't nothing, and they're overdoing it, and they're making a big fuss, and they're carrying on, and they're talking about masks. I bet you Trump going to keep on the mask now. I bet you. He might put on double mask. All right, then.
Thank you so much, caller, for weighing in on this very important topic. So it was a good afternoon here at Win FM for Voices. This morning we had Dr. Marissa Grant Tate, and this afternoon we kind of shift the gears a bit to talk about carnival and, you know, different things taking place here in St. Kitts and Nevis and across the world. And even the last caller, you know, talking about the president, you know, contracted the COVID-19 virus. And you never know, he may look at the COVID-19 differently now, because he was of the opinion that the corona is just, a little old disease and nothing serious. But thank you so much for tuning in and listening to Voices Today is Thursday, October 8th, and we'll see you tomorrow for another edition of Voices here on 98.9 Win FM. Thank you.